KeyForge is customized like no game that you have seen before, making it a truly unique experience. But is it a fun experience? Hey there, I'm Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise, and thank you for joining me for this discussion about my initial thoughts playing KeyForge. The basic concept of KeyForge is that every single deck is unique. And that's not just to say that every single deck will have a different mix of cards in it out of the overall card pool, but even the art and the name of the deck is going to be unique as well. For example, the names of some of the decks that I've collected so far include Odin Mass of the Deacon's Tunnel, which does not sound very sanitary, Feliquant Red, the Glorious and Blind, Frequently Bald Quizzy, Galacube, the Whale Surveyor, Guinevere, Plant Lady General, and, admittedly my current favorite one, the Super Bandit. So here you have a game where every single deck is a somewhat randomized amalgamation of cards out of a big pool. You know what? Sounds kind of like a mess just waiting to happen. So what is it that prevents KeyForge from being just a colossal garbage fire? Well, for starters, the game's designer is Richard Garfield, who obviously comes with quite a pedigree, being the same guy who designed Magic the Gathering. Is this a game that's just going to be riding on the coattails of Richard Garfield? After playing it a bit, I think I can confidently say that the answer to that is no. This is a game that doesn't just rely on being designed by Richard Garfield. This is a game that stands on its own. True, this game definitely feels like it's some sort of descendant of Magic the Gathering. You're bringing out creatures, they come out with summoning sickness, the creatures are attacking, however they're attacking each other, not the other players. But yeah, I can see how this was designed by the same guy who designed Magic the Gathering. You're going to see a lot of similarities in the type of feel of that, even though that some of the execution in KeyForge is done quite differently than in Magic the Gathering. Still, I feel that you can definitely see Magic the Gathering's footprints on KeyForge a little bit. So why then would I want to go out and play KeyForge instead of just playing Magic the Gathering? That is the $35 question that I came into KeyForge with wanting to answer for myself. Right out of the gate, KeyForge streamlines some of these rules and concepts while still allowing combos and special abilities and cards that are going to break the overall rules without being too confusing. It has all of that and presents it pretty darn well. Like I said before, KeyForge does feel like it stands on its own as a separate game. It doesn't feel just like a Magic the Gathering clone. It feels like a descendant. But of course, the biggest difference between Magic the Gathering and KeyForge is that in KeyForge, there ain't no deck building. I'd like to repeat that because it seems vaguely important. In KeyForge, there is no deck customization. The deck that you buy of 30 to 35 cards is the deck that you will be stuck with, which is why they each have unique names. You're never going to take cards from your Plant Lady General deck and put a few of them in your Whale Surveyor deck. Nary the two shall ever meet. And that is the very first thing about KeyForge that made me stop and go, whoa, shut up. What was that? Because that's one of the things I really, really like about Magic the Gathering. I love getting a concept for a combo or just a deck idea and going out and whether it succeeds or crashes and burns, I love taking that mix of cards that I came up with for this unique deck that was my brainchild and going out and seeing how it does. KeyForge unplugs that and takes that out of the equation. No me gusta. And that's one of the things that started me off on a skeptical foot about KeyForge right off the gate. I remember at Gen Con, the big press conference that Fantasy Flight Games presents each year, they announced KeyForge and then they announced the whole no deck customization concept. And I was like, wow, that sucks. But I said it to myself, obviously, because Fantasy Flight was standing right there. And I'm glad that I actually didn't say that, because no sooner had I thought those words than another media person who was standing right next to me said, oh, I love that, because I am intimidated at all the idea of deck construction in Magic, so I am glad that I don't have to worry about that. I can buy a pack and be ready to go play without having to build or think about any of that stuff. And after hearing that, my heart truly did grow 3 sizes that day, because I realized that my approach to customizable card games is not the same approach that's shared by everyone else. there is going to be a market for a game with customizable decks where you don't have to customize and make them yourself. Okay, but without the ability to customize your deck, you're left with what I feel is the other major ingredient in a customizable or living card game that makes it really exciting and pulls people in, and that is the sense of discovery that you get, discovering new cards and combos as expansions and sets are released. Without that option of making a KeyForge deck do what I want it to do through deck customization, well, one of the only major things left to really intrigue me and pull me in is that sense of discovery as you see brand new cards and brand new combos when you crack open a pack. Once I've seen all the cards there are to see in KeyForge, whether it be by cracking packs or fighting opponents or by just reading a spoiler list online, that's it. I've seen all there is to see. If I go through and I discover a card, oh, hey, that card would work really well with that card. Well, too bad, because that card's in this deck and that card may be in that deck, and the only way that you're going to be able to play this card with that card and make that neat combo is if you just haphazardly open a deck that has it, or go buy a deck at a marked up price on the secondary market. And if it's one thing that people really like to do, it's to spend a lot of money tracking down cards. So in that respect, one of the things that I think is going to be critical to the longevity of KeyForge is a continuous, frequent injection of new cards into the card pool in order to keep it fresh and allow that sense of discovery to continue going on. Now the good news is even though KeyForge has just hit store shelves, I've heard that the next new batch of content for it, the next expansion and such, is already planned to be released like next February or March, or early next year. So hopefully that release of more new content for KeyForge next spring will inject enough content into the game to retain that sense of discovery and keep players engaged. All right. So far, I've talked a lot about the big idea behind KeyForge and a lot of the technical aspects of the game. But how about the big question? Is it fun to play? Well, speaking from my experience with the game, playing a half dozen decks a few dozen times, my answer is, yeah, it's a pretty good game. It's got a good, solid rule set at its core. It's got great artwork. It's a neat, intriguing universe, and most of all, it's usually fun. Usually. I say usually because that's what I have discovered as being KeyForge's greatest weakness to date. The games of it can be really uneven. And to be honest, I think that might just be a side effect of the procedurally generated algorithmic system they have creating all the decks. There's not some smarty pants out there making decks around some really cool concept that they came up with. Instead, you got a computer going, well, I haven't paired these two cards together yet, so here's your deck. And as a result of this, mathematical procedural deck construction algorithm, I've had games of KeyForge that take 5 minutes to play, and I have had one game where, no kidding, it took 60 minutes to finish the game. Again, I'd like to repeat that because it seems fairly important. Now, you may say, whoa, slow down there, Chaz. That's just the nature of customizable card games. Anytime that you have a deck that's created out of a larger card pool, well, that's just going to happen. Sure, why not? But, see, if you go in and you create a deck that plays really slow, you're going to go into it knowing that, and you are going to alter your playing strategy to match. If you're just buying a $10 pack off the shelf and you don't know what you're getting in for, well, you might not be enjoying the experience. But, just like I learned during that initial press conference at Gen Con, everybody's different. And what I enjoy might not be something that someone else enjoys, and vice versa. And therein lies KeyForge's saving grace. Because the barrier to entry to get in and start playing KeyForge is relatively low. It's just $10 to get a pack. And compared to other modern board card games and such, that's not that bad. As long as Fantasy Flight can find and walk that line between releasing enough content to continue to keep people engaged and retain the discoverability of the game, but not release so much or bend the rules so much that they introduce like feature creep or power creep or just break the game. As long as they can continue doing that, even if the game is a little unbalanced, I think KeyForge will be around for a while. But mark my words, without the option to customize one's decks and discover new combos and develop new strategies, as soon as that discoverability is gone, so will KeyForge's customer base be. So there you go. There's my initial thoughts on KeyForge. You know, it's a good game. It's a solid game. I think it has a few hurdles in front of it, but as long as it can continue to overcome those hurdles, I think that there really is something intriguing here. Something new, something different, and something that I think could be a source of fun for a lot of people for a long time to come. So really, the only thing left to do is to ask if your experience with KeyForge so far has matched my own, or how has it differed? Let me know in the comments if you've enjoyed the game, if you enjoy not having to worry about deck building, if you're still really excited about the cards that you discover as you crack open a new pack, and how many decks of KeyForge you think you're going to end up investing in. Me personally, I've picked up 8 so far, and right now I'm pretty satiated. I think I've shown I still have like 3 or 4 that I haven't even cracked open yet, and I'm really proud of myself about that. And surprised. And for more board game news, reviews, countdowns, and commentary, be sure to subscribe. And until next time, I've been Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon. Let's just start off with a little bit of a primer for anyone who may not be familiar with what this game over there is all about. I've kind of been down on the forge and the keys, you know, pring, pring, pring. I just won because I've made 3 keys. Releasing enough content to keep people, hello. If you're gonna bark at me, you can't be in here. And it is a fun game. And really, you know, this is what it boils down to. It's fun, yeah, it's gotta be fun. Now you may say, Chaz, you're an idiot. Thanks, I don't appreciate that. As long as Fantasy Forge can continue, Fantasy Forge? I'm good at this.